The first part of this video discusses the reasons for and mechanics behind reducing the size of a PDF. If you want to avoid the lecture and get straight to the tips, skip to the timecode below. I'm not exactly saying you'll be missing the secrets of the universe, but it's your choice if you want to risk the possibility. A PDF is a digital document that sometimes consists of a single large image, but more often than not contains an assortment of images and text boxes. While text by itself is very small, images, especially higher resolution ones, will greatly increase the size of the PDF. Why is file size important? Everyone has access to broadband internet on their desktop computers or unlimited 4G on their mobile devices, right? File size is important because neither of those statements is true. While most internet in the United States these days is broadband, not everyone has access to reliable service, particularly in rural areas where even mobile internet like 4G can often be spotty at best. In addition, lots of people still have data caps on their mobile devices and are very conservative with their internet usage. If the document is text only, the size will remain small and there's nothing more to be done. Don't confuse a text-only PDF with a scan of a text document. Even though it looks like text, a scanned text document is still technically an image and thus will increase the size of the PDF. The two determining factors of size for embedded images are their color type and resolution. The three options for color in descending size are full color, grayscale, and black and white. Full color is self-explanatory, but it's easy to confuse grayscale with black and white. The difference between them is grayscale includes the colors black and white and every shade of gray between them, whereas black and white is strictly black and white. Grayscale would be used for a photograph or other image that requires gradients, while black and white would be used for pure text or line drawings. Be careful when scanning documents, because even if they contain no color or gradients, they can still be saved as full-color images, which needlessly increases their file sizes. Indeed, most scanning software makes full color the default, and many users aren't aware of this. All they know how to do is put the paper in their machine and hit the scan button. They are unaware that they can scan much more efficiently if they change the settings first. This is especially true when scanning contracts, which, because they're strictly text, never need to be scanned any higher than black and white. In fact, text is generally cleaner when scanned at black and white. Take this image for example. It was a single page of text, but scanned at full color. Not only did this make the file size over half a megabyte, notice that even though it appears to be black and white, when zoomed in, gray dots surround the text. When printed, these gray dots will make the words look fuzzy. If the document is scanned at black and white, not only does it drop the file size to 1/10 of what it was at full color, the text is much cleaner and will print better. So, either change your equipment settings before scanning, or adjust the image using your software before saving. Image resolution, as it relates to DPI, dimensions, and size, is more complicated than what I will get into now, but here is the rough idea. Resolution is measured in dots per inch, or DPI. Imagine a 1-inch square. How many dots would fill that square is essentially what DPI means. The more dots, the sharper the image. 300 DPI is generally considered the lowest optimal setting for a printed image to maintain legibility on paper. Any full color or grayscale images printed with a lower resolution than that may appear blurry or pixelized. However, black and white text can often be printed as low as 150 DPI and still remain legible. Old fax machines, for example, would usually print at this lower resolution. Images intended for use on screen should be saved at no less than 72 DPI for full clarity. As you may expect, the higher the resolution of an image, the larger the file size, so it's best to have your images saved at the proper resolution before embedding them in your PDF. For example, this high-resolution digital photo was taken at 4032 pixels by 3024 pixels at 72 dpi. If we convert the pixels to inches, it becomes 56 by 42. Roughly translated, this photo would retain clarity even if shown full size on a 70-inch television. If we translate this image to the printed page, meaning 300 dpi, it would be roughly 13 by 10, suitable for framing. Something else to bear in mind is that images taken by most smartphones and digital cameras are compressed. You can see the uncompressed size of this image is almost 35 megabytes, though when stored on a smartphone was a mere 5.5 megabytes. While compression is good for conserving storage space, it can make the image lose quality, so be careful when saving files not to go overboard on compression. Notice how the fur on the best girl ever starts to blur as we increase the compression. Watch as we fade the image from 0 compression to maximum compression. Increasing the compression can lower the file size, but that depends entirely on the user's choice as to how much image clarity they are willing to sacrifice. All the image examples used in this video are saved at the lowest compression for optimal clarity. Let's look at a PDF where none of the images have been optimized. The final size is almost 5 megabytes. While that's not unreasonable when downloaded through fast broadband and viewed on a desktop, it's far too big for slow connections or smartphones on capped data plans. If we're sending this document to a professional printer, there's probably no need to worry about file size. Not only is it a good rule of thumb to send as high quality as possible to press, professional print companies likely have adequate bandwidth and storage space to deal with larger documents. However, if we're sending this document by email, it becomes much more important to send an optimized PDF because we have no control over how the recipient will receive or view it. Additionally, if the PDF is meant to be stored online and downloaded when needed, a smaller PDF will result in less load on the server. I will be using Adobe InDesign for this demonstration, but the principle should remain the same regardless if other software like Publisher or Word is used to create the document. The first step in reducing a PDF is to remove unnecessary elements in the original document. Oops, it seems there's an image hidden under another which isn't needed for the final document. At the time, I was trying to figure out which was the better shot, and it looks like I forgot to remove the old one. Let's delete it now and see what it does for the file size. The PDF was reduced by half a megabyte, which is marginally better, but what else can be done? Many, or possibly most, PDFs sent by email aren't meant to be printed, but rather viewed on a desktop monitor or smartphone, so we can reduce the file size greatly and still maintain quality. This is done by optimizing everything for on-screen display, which is done by dropping the image resolution to 72 dpi. The original images varied in size from 10 to 35 inches in width, but as the size of these two images in the document are meant to be less than 8 inches wide, while this image is less than 5 inches wide, we will also take that into consideration as well when resizing them. This greatly reduces the file sizes, and after exporting, the final PDF is now a mere 500 kilobytes, or around 10% of what we originally started with. If we think the recipient may decide to print the PDF anyway, let's see what can be done to get a smaller file that will still result in an adequate print by meeting halfway between the display and print resolutions. 150 dpi is a reasonable median, and if we reduce all the images to that resolution, our final PDF size comes to just 1.5 megabytes, or about a third the size of the original PDF. In the end, it's up to the one creating the document to decide if they want to spend the time optimizing the PDF before sending it to their audience. But a common trap many fall into, especially those with fast, reliable internet service and who do everything on a desktop, is forgetting that not everyone does business this way. Plenty of professionals, for example, do much of their emailing through their smartphones. Those who work in rural environments or are on the road a lot can frequently find themselves in areas where internet service for their smartphones becomes spotty and their browsing speed becomes much slower. The last thing they want, especially if they happen to be expecting an important email, is having to wait while their phone downloads an unnecessarily large PDF only to learn it was an unsolicited email, even if it does feature the best girl ever. If you continue to spam such large documents, you run the risk of frustrated recipients simply deleting the email without reading, or worse, blocking your future emails entirely. In fact, some might go so far as to report your email address as spam, and you might find your address or IP blacklisted by large filtering services, which could end up crippling your ability to send email at all. So you should bear that in mind when composing your PDFs and make sure you send the smallest file size you can.